beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name's Kaila and today I'm going to be making some dal for you. It's a super easy way of getting your protein in and feeling satisfied, especially in this winter time. It's a very warming, vibrant food to eat. What you're going to need is red split lentils because they're a lot easier to cook and take less long. Then I need some vegetable broth. I get the little cubes that you just throw in and it becomes broth if you boil water. You're gonna need an onion, garlic, tomato, ginger, turmeric, mustard seeds, cumin seeds, coriander seeds, cumin, and it's called Talacheri peppercorns, but just hot peppers, like dried hot peppers, or you could put in fresh hot peppers, which is even better. I'm going to put all our ingredients right here so that they're easily accessible. You're also going to need a pot and a pan. So, first off, we're going to start by boiling the lentils and just make them however it says on the bag. Put in the amount of lentils that you want. So that's about like 2.5 cups. In the pot. My bag says to cover the lentils with about 2 inches of water, so I'm going to do that. If you have a already made broth, just go ahead and put it over. I need 2 of these. It's 1 per 3 cups of water. So what I do, even just a little trick if you're using these little vegetable broth cubes, is squish them. So I just like open 2 of the flaps so that open, and then I squish it up. I don't know, just like so that it all releases, because or else it becomes like big chunks inside of your broth and you just like eat chunks of pure broth, so it's not very tasty. I just like make them into little smush balls and then cut them up into pieces so that it's easier to dissolve once you put them in the water. Next, what you want to do is put some olive oil in your pan and heat that up. And I'm just going to prepare all the seeds that I had. So the mustard seeds, the cilantro seeds, and the cumin seeds. And put the pan on medium heat, but a little bit under medium. While that's all heating up, I take all my veggies that I have. First, I cut up the garlic. When I finish cutting up the garlic and the ginger, that's when I start putting in the seeds. And then you leave them in the pan until they start popping. When they start popping, that's releasing all the flavors into the oil. Then you're going to put the garlic and ginger inside of your mixture. So with the garlic, I like to crush it. Releases all the flavors. And cut it into tiny pieces. It's really good clearing for your system. So for the ginger, same thing, you want to cut it into little pieces. I took about this much ginger, cover it to my hand, just a little chunk. This is a really easy recipe to make if you're just starting out or trying to be plant-based and you are really short on time, because you can make it in huge batches and freeze it. It takes about, I don't know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to make, and it's delicious. And once this is boiling, you want to turn it to low and put the top on it. And so now I cut up my ginger and my garlic, so I'm going to start putting my cumin seeds in. So that's the amount of cumin seeds that you want. Coriander seeds in, or cilantro. You want about that many, and then just mustard seeds, which are very crucial. Let's put about that much, and then you just mix them in. You're gonna start. You want that sound. All right. So while that's cooking, I'm gonna wait for that to pop, like I said, and then cut up my onion. So for the onion, it doesn't really matter. It depends, like Do you want big chunks of onion when you're eating it, or little chunks? I like big chunks of onion, so I do. Oh yeah, by the way, at this point I would start putting the rice on, but I already have rice made, so I'm not going to be doing that. But I would start putting the rice on so that it's ready when this is ready. So the onion, I cut it into slices, but I don't cut it the other way. So that's what's going to happen when they start popping. So that's when you want to start putting the garlic in. They turn a little bit dark, which is normal, but you don't want them to let them pop for a long time. You want to let them pop for like 30 seconds and then throw the garlic in there with the ginger, because or else it loses all its flavor. It's not like bad, but it's much better if you don't let them burn. So while that's cooking for a little bit, you want it to cook it until the garlic is a little bit brown and caramelized. You'll see it. You can just keep checking a little bit. It doesn't matter if it's a little burnt. It's a little crispy and yummy. But while that's cooking, I'm just going to continue doing this. Kind of big chunks, because they shrink. Once you've been cooking for a little bit, you kind of get like a feeling in your heart of what you like. I'll link in the description a recipe about how much you put in it, so that the first time that you can make it, you can follow along. So at this point, my onion and my garlic and my ginger is pretty cooked. So I'm just gonna throw my onions in. And you want it to make that sound. You want it to be kind of hot when you put in the onions. And you break them apart. And now all you gotta do is wait a little bit. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about why people would go vegan in the first place, you know, like what pushes someone to go that far, that radical. It's honestly just a realization that there's so much more than just your little world inside of you going on in the world, like in the universe, and you can take this as a spiritual person or as a not spiritual person. Outside of you is such a big place, and we have big impacts on that. Obviously, the world is changing, the climate is changing. Just like talking to your friend, like your words are strong. Everyone has a lot of individual power that they can put it out into the world, you know? And I think that the first step is to realize that we're not as important as we make ourselves out to be. We are important, let me tell you, but we're not above everything else. Like, I know I'm really important as a person. Oh no. Alright, so I'm going to now add turmeric. Not too much. Or maybe it's too much to other people, but I cook with a lot of turmeric. I've learned to cut back a little bit. So turmeric, a little bit of cumin. Just a bit though, I'm not a gigantic fan of cumin. And then the hot peppers I was talking about. Mix that all in. I like to put a little bit of water at this stage because it makes like a little sauce-ish type. Then you can turn the temperature down on that until your lentils are fully cooked. But yeah, my camera stopped recording before when I was explaining my little spiel, so I'll keep going. Well, my truth, and I think that a lot of people believe this, is that we are much smaller and much more powerful than we believe. So what I mean by that is that we are very important individually. I know that I'm important as a person because I affect things on the outside, and so in my community I'm an important person. In our own system we're important, but in the system of nature and the whole universe, and I know it's difficult to think about sometimes, but it's just, we are so small, yet we are an important part of the puzzle. We don't exist for nothing. I mean, it can be random, and I think it is kind of random that we exist and that we've evolved in this way, but it's not for nothing once you know that. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's very empowering to know that it's random that we have occurred. Like, our individual being is random, and it's an occurrence, and it's an event. And the fact that we exist gives us power to change things outside of ourselves. Once we have reached the point, we decide, we choose how to act on the outside, because it brings you peace to know that you're completely in control, and also you make more clear decisions for the outside world. I.e., being vegan for me is one of those decisions, because I used to eat meat and I used to eat dairy my whole life until I think it was 5 years ago I stopped eating meat, because I started seeing and feeling very weird about the fact that when I see those videos online, or like when I learn about, I even just think about animals or the environment or my health, and I think of eating meat, there's like this weird disconnect. Like it's like an act against my wisdom inside of me to keep investing my life energy, which is my money, to keep investing my money into industries that promote that. So basically you're voting to keep that going in the world. And I think once you really truly understand that inside of yourself, you're like, I cannot promote that. I can't be putting my vote into that ballot box, because it's so disconnected and we're so apathetic about it all because we don't see it. But I urge you to just do your research, because we can heal the world. My dad was telling me about this beach in Bombay that they just decided, like thousands of people just decided to clean it up. And I think it was 4 days or 4 weeks, or I don't know how long it was, but the beach is completely clean of years and years of putting garbage on that beach, you know? It's completely clean because we've seen our error and we edit how we react to certain things. And my reaction to seeing all those animals being treated that way, first of all, like, I don't know anyone who can watch those videos and be like, yes, that is what needs to be happening. You can be apathetic about it, and I know so many people that are apathetic about it, but apathy is not a real life emotion. It's a barrier between you and what's actually happening, because you just don't want to think about it. You know, not saying that it's the right way to be, I'm just saying it's a much more empathetic and thoughtful way to be, like thinking through your actions. And we can make little actions in our life to not waste, you know, like just not buying the sandwich at lunch and making yourself Dahl, super healthy for your body, tastes super good, super easy to make, doesn't take that much time, and you can make it in big batches. I urge you to be conscious of your decisions in the world, and I think it's really important to think about how we affect the world. We can't just be walking around in our desires. Fleeting desires are not important, but true love for something, such as, I don't know, like my true goal right now is to get my van, let's say, and I have a true love for it and I'm really working towards it, and every little fleeting desire is like, I want a new pair of shoes, or I want to go out for lunch. I try and just see past that into my true goal, which is to get my van and live basically the way that I think would be the best way of living. My camera's gonna die, but just gonna come back to my doll for a second. So basically you put this into the lentils, mix that in. Turmeric is something like 1,000% more effective when you combine it with black pepper. It's anti-inflammatory, it's really detoxifying for your body. My camera's gonna die and I really want to finish my points because it was kind of rambly, but I just want to emphasize that you, as a human being with consciousness inside of you, no matter where it comes from, if it comes from God or your brain or spiritual energy or whatever you want to call it, you have so much power from inside to put into the outside world. And you can either come from a loving place for yourself, a loving place for the world, a loving place for your family, a loving place for your community. You don't want to come from a place of fear and greed and emptiness, because that's all you're going to put out into the world. Fear, greed, and emptiness. And you can switch all of that. It takes time. You're not just going to realize this and become exactly who you want to be, because who you want to be is not necessarily who you are living through life, and you just have to, you can just accept that. Because everything is so much more fulfilling when you act out of love, or you act out of just the courage to know what you want. And I believe that you can know what you want. You just have to really think about it and work on yourself and do your research about how to do this, because there's so much information out there at this point. We have come so far in our evolution to still be so empty inside, a lot of people, and it makes me just want to shout into people's faces, like, realize that you're alive, like, you're alive, and it's so magical. You can't feel insignificant because you're alive and you're given this infinite gift. You create your own reality. Reality doesn't mean the outside of you, it just means the inside of you. You create that, and you create your own perception by just understanding that you create your own reality. It doesn't have to be right for everyone, it just has to work for you. And just be love for yourself and wholeness for yourself, and feed yourself with good food such as this Dahl. And then you can, from that, enter the world and put out into the world those things. And when you come from a place of love and compassion, you start to really look at everything deeply. And it doesn't have to be stressful or anything. You just have to just tell yourself, I'm looking at these things objectively. And like, what is the truth? What is the truth? And the truth is, we're doing horrendous things to our planet. You don't have to believe it, but you should do your research. And I think everyone should do their research about everything that comes into their brain. We eat every single day, and we create so much waste because of it. So much. I'm gonna put some sources down below if you just want to look it up. It doesn't have to be this big thing that's gonna change your life. I just want you to see it. And I think that's my way of putting out wholeness and love and compassion, is just by informing you that there is really awful things happening, and we're so apathetic about it. A lot of people are apathetic about it. And you can live through life apathetic and having a barrier in front of you and the truth, or you can try and peek through. And then if you peek through and you don't see what I see, then that's your truth. You know, if you peek through and you really truly feel at the core of yourself that that is the way to be, then that is the way to be. There's no right way. And I'm not preaching that my way is the right way. I just want everyone to learn, because that's what makes us so amazing, is our ability to really learn and dig deep into things. And I think that we should all take that ability for what it is and not take it for granted, because we can really make a real change here. And your goal in life does not have to be to save the world, because one person cannot do that. But that doesn't mean that you should do nothing.